In this video, I'm going to show how to install all the required software to download the Codeflyers. The first release is 1.0, 1.0 alpha. Then you can run that release on your machine. So the first thing is we are going to install SQL Server Express Edition, and of course we need to download the service pack as well and install it afterwards. So let's first download the SQL Server. So we will get the Express Edition 64-bit and also get the Management Studio. And this will install both of them, and also downloading the service pack to install it afterwards of the SQL Server. So let's open. Now we can see here this is the SQL Server Express and the Management Studio still downloaded, and here is the service pack. So the first thing is to extract all the files of the SQL Server. So let's use the same path. After extracted, I can use the package to install the SQL Server. Then click on New SQL Server, accept license. Of course, it's good to use Microsoft Update so we can install all the required updates. You don't need replication. It's okay about the SQL connectivity. Here we will use if the named instance or the default instance. This depends on your intention to install another SQL Server, because this is the SQL Server Express. So you may have another SQL Server, a developer edition or enterprise edition or a standard edition on your machine. So if you will use multiple SQL servers, then it is better to use a named instance with SQL Express. If this is your only SQL Server machine and you want to download the project and work with it directly, then it is better to using the default instance, so you don't need to change any connection string in the configuration. So I would prefer all service to be automatic. Let's select the collision. This is the best. I will all the time prefer to add the current user, and also we need to make the mixed mode because this is required for the application to login. It doesn't matter to provide any password, but this is the password for SCA, so we can select a complex password. This is not important for the application, but important for you to connect with the SQL Server with the SCA. But of course, the mixed mode is very important for running the application, because the application connected to the SQL Server using SQL authentication, not a Windows authentication. Then the progress. Now it's finished successful. So let's close that and going to download folder to install the Management Studio, and afterwards we will install the Service Pack 1. Extracting. Install the Management SQL Studio Management, new SQL Server standalone. Of course, it's not a new installation, it is just to add a feature, which is a Management Studio. This is an instance of the SQL. And we just need the management tool basics, because we don't need all client tool connectivity, because we will connect to the same machine, but maybe we need it to connect for others, so it's okay. Now the SQL Server Management Studio installed successfully. Then I will need to run the SQL Server Service Pack 1, extracting the files. I have to accept the license. This is where the update will be running, for what features. Now run the updates. Now the service pack installed, so let's run SQL Server. Into taskbar, then connect to the database. Here, as we mentioned, because this is the default instance, then we can connect with just dot. And here there is no database, so everything working fine. So let's go back and install the Visual Studio, and we will use Visual Studio 2015 Community Edition, so just download and then run. I would prefer all the time to install the custom. Then we don't need these languages. We need the server SQL data tool. This is very important. Of course, PowerShell, universal apps, also Windows Phone and emulators, and cross-platform, which has Xamarin, and emulator for Android. Of course, we need GitHub extension and Visual Studio extensibility tools. So this is very important. Then just install. It has finished, and I just need to restart the machine. Then I will just run the Visual Studio. Then it's better to sign in to my Microsoft account, so I can use, if I use a Visual Studio Online or something like that, then I could directly connect to that. If not, I can just sign in later and choose the theme. So I have 3 different ways to get the project from GitHub and start working with that. So the first and the simplest way is to just go for the project and for the releases and get the beta, the alpha release. Just download the source code, I need to right click, properties, unblock. This is important for the security, so I just extract all. Now I extract the project and I will put directly on the C, and I just can go to technology for the .NET and open the master solution, or I can just copy this instead of open a new instance of the Visual Studio, and then open a project and open the master solution. Of course, because this project is the layered project, this is just for the architecture, and it just describes the different layers. So because the layer component is part of the Visual Studio Enterprise Edition, so you will not be able to see that. So of course, if you need to see that, then you will need a licensed version of the Visual Studio. So only this problem with this project, but all the other projects working fine, so that's great. So I can even easily, in these projects, even remove, so you can build the solution successfully. You will not commit the solution, or okay. So I will just try to rebuild the application to make sure that everything working fine. We can see here this is the building. So this error happened because the coded UI not supported also for the community edition. Let me show you here the supported version. So we can see the architecture layer diagrams. It only supported for the enterprise, but not for the community. And if we go for the coded UI in the testing tool, so we can see also the coded UI testing, it only supported for the Visual Studio Enterprise. So if you want to run this feature, you need to have the Visual Studio Enterprise 2015. Okay, so the best thing is just in this project, the MVC UI test, also we just need to remove the project. So of course, if you install Visual Studio Enterprise, you don't have to remove anything of that project. So I will just remove that project. So we need to move this project as well. These two projects are a coded UI test, just testing the UI. So as we can see now, we have all project built successfully. Okay, so the first step after we make sure that we can build our project successfully is to deploy the database. And if we go for the database, we can see that we have two database projects. This is the first one, and in the publish profile we have the publish profile to deploy. So if I double click, this will bring the publish profile with the information, and we can see that the database is just a dot. But if we install the SQL as a named instance with SQL Express or any other name, then we need to change that to provide the name. For example, it will be like SQL Express, something like that. But we using during the installation the default instance, so we don't have to use this. So all I have to do now is just publish the database. So this will run publishing the database, and this should create a new database here with the required schema. As you can see here, we have, this is the data, we have here two tables, which is the product and the users. And now the publish successfully. So if we refresh this, now we can see here, this is the database and this is the tables. And if I come here for the data, just here to insert the products, I don't need to insert the users. But here, if you want to insert the product, but I need to just connect to the database first. So here I will just add a connection. This is the default instance. This is my database, and then I will just come here to make sure that which database I connect. Disconnect here, change the connection. Here it's connected to the local DB, which is not. I even don't need to do that, just dot. So I'm pretty sure now I'm connected to the local DB, and I will choose here my database. Let's check that successfully and then run that. That's inserted all the record to the database. So if we go back to the SQL server and start select all, then this will bring all the data, as we can see. So now I can run my application. Let's make sure that the web application is the startup project. No, it's not, because it is not pulled. And if we make set as a startup project, we can see that now it is pulled, and then I could run my application. You can see now we can access the database and retrieve the products, and we have different products. And if we go to the home, this is the product on list. Let me show you. But I have also another page called, this is the new page, which has featured products and new arrival products. You can see the paging here, it's retrieved multiple, and random products, wholesale products. So you can just access these from product on items, and we can see the paging here for the different products. And if I go here and start managing that, I can just go for add cart, then we can see here the amount has been added. Just add a new one. So if I go to checkout, I can remove from the checkout, can continue shopping, or I can go check order and complete that. Also, if I need to go for the admin, I will go for the admin and create. Still loading. So I just need to enter admin and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we can see here we can add the description and add the product. And if we cancel this, it will display all the products existing now. Of course, when I click here, it will go for the add new products. And of course, when I click on this one, this will open the edit product for this. So this is the current feature now, and I just described how to download and open that. We have two ways also. The first one is, instead of just, if I want to contribute to that project, I can just, of course I need to sign in first, and I need to have an account on GitHub, and then I can create a fork which will create a repository on my account with that fork, and I can commit local and then sync or push these commits to my repository, and then request for a pull request. Then I could merge that with the Codeflyers on the main repository. And you need to connect with, of course, the Team Explorer and all you just need to go is using the GitHub here, and when I connect, I will just need to configure my username and password, and it will start appear all the repositories in my repositories, of course, and then I could connect that. Thank you.